You don't miss a thing.
It's 16 minutes. I've got to learn to add up. 16 minutes away from 6 o'clock here on 882 6PR. Let's have a look and see if John Brodie from Vim Sustainability is there this time. Hello, John.
Hello, Jason.
Oh, success. I love it. Good to have you back on the program, mate. Where have you been recently? Have you been travelling?
Look, I was in Hong Kong before Christmas, which we talked about before Christmas. Since then, I've just been floating around the northern New South Wales countryside, actually.
Yeah.
Just making sure that we're still pumping out the oxygen from my property up there.
Oh, nicely done. What sort of property have you got? Is it a proper farm or is it just a bit of spare land? Or
It's an oxygen farm,
Ah.
which all of the climate change skeptics are going to guffaw at. But we have a property up there that my company bought about 30 years ago, which is basically 300-odd acres of forest. And it's a dry sclerophyll forest up in the mountains behind Port Macquarie. And if I do the analysis that's put out by the CSIRO, there's enough. The trees on there provide oxygen for approximately 5,500 people. So there's 5,500 people out there that are currently breathing, courtesy of moi.
Well done, mate. That's good work.
Thank you. That's you're most welcome. Now, look, I just wanted to touch on your comments then about smoking. Very interesting. No one ever talks about the impact to our environment, the climate, from smoking.
Is there an impact?
Absolutely. If you look at the number of people that smoke around the world and multiply the amount of smoke that those cigarettes put out, it is a phenomenal amount of smoke that's being put out every time someone smokes a cigarette by, 5 billion people that smoke, whatever. There's a lot of people.
I'm also assuming that there's quite a bit of work involved in actually growing tobacco in the first place.
Absolutely. There's all the embodied energy in the tobacco. There's all the embodied energy in the transport of the tobacco and the manufacture of the tobacco. And then there's all of the climate, the impact on the climate from actual cigarette smoke. Now, I did some research on it a couple of years ago, and I'll have to touch back on that. And maybe next week I can give you viewers a few facts about it. Your listeners a few facts about it. But it's certainly something that's I've never heard mentioned. Yet to me it beggars a question. Well, what's happening with all this smoke? Because it's not disappearing. It all just adds up, doesn't it?
Well, I also asked the question as well that we know, for example, that heroin has no positive benefits, no societal benefits, and so it's banned because it's dangerous. Why is tobacco still legal?
I don't know. I have great disappointment over here in Sydney, where on a nice summer's day, as a committed anti-smoker, because I used to be a terrible smoker 30 years ago, and I've turned into one of those smoke Nazis, I guess.
You and me both.
but over here, you want to sit outside on a summer's day and have breakfast or lunch, and you have to share it with smoke.
Yeah.
And yet I feel it's not fair. I mean, it's a separate issue to sustainability, but it's certainly something that I'm not happy with, and I wish that they would just ban smoking in all public areas, and you smoke at home, that's fine, but not somewhere where I am or people like me.
No, completely agree. Now, John, we only have a very short amount of time to talk today because we've just had such a full show, and I apologise for that, but
That's all right.
I understand you wanted to touch on a bit of landscaping.
Look, landscaping is becoming something that it's not becoming. It's something that we need to put more focus on in the way that we design our buildings and the way that we design our communities. Landscaping has major impacts on, obviously, the vista, the view. And we look at sustainability isn't just about saving resources. It's about providing a community. It's about providing a community aspect and improving the health of the inhabitants of buildings. First of all, putting landscape outside, people can look out to, but also it improves the quality of the air around that building. It's quite amazing, the research. A lot of it was raised and shown to me, most recent research at the lecture series I attended in Hong Kong once again, where they looked at the amount of what we call transpiration and the amount of water that's been provided by landscaping around the house to provide cooling. Of course, there's the shading. There's all the windbreaks that we can provide with shading, with appropriate landscape design, and the way that we shade our buildings and the way we can encourage airflow through and into buildings, and it's all nice and clean, because trees and plants, of course, they sort of get rid of the carbon, and they provide oxygen. So they're cleaning the air as well as the temperature of the air. It's a great way to look at how we improve our communities and how we improve our cities and our individual buildings.
I guess you would also be a fan of, if we've got fences or walls, that we actually grow things on them and over them.
Absolutely. There's a lot of work going on at the moment with, I don't know if your listeners have heard of green walls and green roofs, where we clad the side of the building in greenery and also the roofs. And if you go back to those old English-style buildings that have the ivy growing up the walls, that type of thing can provide fantastic shading from hot days and also keep heat in the building in winter. And it can also provide a great visual aspect because it breaks up the hardness of typical building surfaces.
Doesn't it cause problems with moisture?
Depends how you mount it and depends on the type of structure that you're actually fixing it to. A lot of the green walls that we're seeing now are like suspended off the actual structure of the wall, and they have they're almost like a system, like a proprietary system that sits up the side of the wall, and you can just replace the bits as they die or as you need to, and you just drip feed them with water, and that brings this fantastic idea that I've learned about over years. And there's a concept called the living machine. Now, the living machine is the world's most amazing sewage treatment plant that's actually designed through landscaping. And there's a lot of buildings in Europe that have actually got sewage treatment facilities as landscaping. And there's one particularly in Germany I know of where actually you walk into the front foyer of the building, and that foyer is this beautiful greenhouse, and you think, oh, this is a fantastic place. You walk in and there's all these cascading waterfalls and plants and that growing up into a high atrium area. That's their sewage system.
Oh, wow.
And you can turn these sewage systems into like educational solutions. You can have people sort of coming and having picnics over the top of them, and you can have like ponds, either horizontal or vertically down the side of your building. And you can treat all of your sewer and all of your waste in these systems and also provide this beautiful sort of environment with all different types of plants. Now, this system was designed by a gentleman by the name of Dr. John Todd back in the 1970s, and it's been used in many, many places around the world, and it treats industrial-grade waste. So sewerage is an easy solution for this type of thing. So that's a great way you can use landscaping to also deal with your sewerage and provide some great colour and great life outside your building and inside your building.
Brilliant. John, unfortunately I'm going to have to let you go, but what we'll do is we'll talk to you a bit earlier next week so that we can actually have a bit more of a wide-ranging chat. So thank you very much for joining us, and I expect that we can check out your website, vim.net.au, to find out more.
Absolutely. No problem at all, mate. Look forward to speaking to you next week.
Good on you, John. John Brodie there from Vim Sustainability.